about today, just quickly, are bees. And for this, I'm going to put on my bee glasses. And the reason I wanted to talk about bees is because they play such a critical role, not just in our ecosystem, but also in getting food for us. So here we go. Here's a cute little bumblebee. Right, bees are really important pollinators. So what bees do is, as they go from flower to flower, collecting nectar for their hive, and they also collect pollen for their hive, they share some of that pollen from flower to flower. So some will fall off onto the next flower, and that kind of helps spread genetics, so that not all, like, the new seeds that are produced aren't the exact same as the adult. And without pollination, these plants would not produce seeds, or, you know, in the case of crops, in the case of things that we grow, they wouldn't bear fruit. So it's really important that our bees are around to do this job. And here's a better, let me bring back my insect thing. Here's a better example of our bumblebee. Right, so a lot of times you'll see bumblebees, and sometimes you'll see honeybees. Honeybees are the ones that we use, of course, to make honey. They're the ones who live more in hives, and they're also the ones who tend to swarm. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I wanted to show you guys, kind of here on the back leg, I wanted to point that out, because as bees go from flower to flower, collecting nectar, a lot of times they also store pollen. They have a little, like, almost kind of pouch or pocket around their back leg called a pollen basket. And so sometimes you'll see bees flying and they have this big bulge of something, and that's pollen that they've collected that they're taking back to their hive. A lot of times they'll mix pollen with the honey or the nectar to make what's called bee bread and feed that to their developing larvae. So bumblebees live in smaller colonies, so they don't tend to swarm like honeybees. We'll usually see them out and about, you know, just a few, or by themselves. And quite honestly, there's nothing that I like more than seeing a little bumblebee butt sticking out of a flower, because they're super cute. But a lot of times people are scared of bees because they sting, right? Or we think that bees are bad because they sting. And really, if we are respectful, like if we're respectful of nature, as we always should be, but if we're especially respectful of bees, right, we can watch them carefully and safely and watch them do their thing. And really, they're way too busy getting nectar and getting the food they need for themselves and for their colony to really mess with you. And in the case of honeybees, honeybees can only sting once. So bumblebees, their stinger is very smooth, so they can sting multiple times. But in the case of honeybees, they have a little barb at the end of their stinger that if they penetrate skin, so if they come and sting you, that barb is going to catch in your skin, that stinger is going to get stuck, and it pulls the stinger out of the bee, and that causes the bee to die. So a lot of times bees they don't want to sting you any more than you want to get stung, or they want to sting you even less than that. The other thing that people tend to be scared about with bees is when they swarm. So sometimes, and it's more common at certain times of the year, you'll see big groups of bees and they're all gathered and buzzing, and it looks really kind of scary. But what's happening is a bee colony has grown really large and it's splitting into two. So the queen bee will take half the colony, and she'll lay some queen bee eggs, and one of those will eventually hatch and become the new queen of the old colony. But she'll take half the bees with her, and they'll fly, they'll swarm for a little bit, they'll look for a suitable place to start building a hive, and then they go and build their hive. But as they're swarming, even though they look really scary, they're actually pretty docile because they're not protecting the hive, and most of the time they fed right before they swarm, which makes it harder for them to sting you. So just a little bit about bees so that they're not as scary, because they are wonderful little creatures. And once again, we can watch from a respectful distance and the bees can be happy and we can be happy. So that is it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this series of nature nuggets. I think my next one, I will be talking about some of the things we can find along the coast of Maine. So I'll see you another day.